Uber drivers, what's the craziest thing you've ever overheard? I picked up my brother and a stranger from the casino one night, and I didn't know it was him until he called me a controlling bitch. My brother Marcus and I had been close our whole lives, but over the past few years, he'd been spiraling. I'd been covering his debts, lending him money whenever he called with that desperate voice, claiming this time would be different. I'd already given him my car savings, my vacation fund, and even dipped into my house down payment. Sometimes, if that wasn't enough, he'd still ask for more even when he knew I was stretched thin. So I had this best friend at work who was always against the idea of giving Marcus money all the time, especially from my savings. Because of this, Marcus didn't like her, saying she was turning me against family. But anytime my best friend warned me about enabling him, I'd defend Marcus and give him whatever I had, regardless of what story he spun. I'd tell her family comes first, but as it would seem, I guess that only applied to me. Earlier that day, Marcus and I had an argument. He'd been drinking again, and when I gently suggested he slow down, he exploded. He brought up the money I'd been asking him to pay back and began saying I was becoming obsessed with money, that I'd changed, that I wasn't the sister he grew up with. I felt it was really unfair because I'd only asked about repayment once in 3 years, and only because my rent was due. So I snapped back at him, told him I was tired of being his personal ATM. So that day I angrily went to work, but eventually I calmed down. And when I thought about the whole incident again, I felt guilty for confronting him. I thought maybe I shouldn't have brought up the money at all. I then decided I would go home earlier that night and apologize, maybe even offer to help him find a treatment program. But I figured I could take one last ride before heading home. That ride, however, changed everything. I picked up these two guys outside the River Rock Casino, and before that, I got notifications for my credit card being maxed out. When they got in, I didn't care to check who they were. Plus, it was late. They were laughing loudly, counting cash, and I couldn't wait to drop them off. But then something caught my attention. I heard one of them slur, then say something in the lines of, "My controlling bitch sister thinks I have a problem. She'll give me more money though, she always does." I didn't turn, just used the front mirror of the car to confirm, and there he was, my brother Marcus. My heart skipped a bit. I almost stopped the car, but then I thought to myself, if I did, what would I say to him? So I just kept driving till we got to their destination, another casino. He tipped me without even looking at me twice. I drove home devastated that night, so I phoned my best friend. She came running to my aid the moment I called. I was so broken, and she consoled me. She didn't say, "I warned you," or "I told you so." She just held me while I cried, and I felt understood for the first time in years. That's when I realized that I'd been enabling the wrong person all this while. The next day was our parents' anniversary party. Marcus had initially promised to stay sober for it, where all family and their friends would be present, so that still remained. I just added some extra plans, ones they definitely didn't see coming. Everything went as planned, and I waited till everyone was around before I made my announcement. I bet everyone thought I was going to give a speech about how wonderful our parents' marriage was, yada yada yada. I was giving a speech all right, but definitely not just about them. I told everyone the speech was about the importance of truth and family, and gave a lot of praise to my parents. Marcus was smirking, probably drunk already, but it all faded when I asked everyone to look at the screen behind me. Full story on channel, link below.